And that is a very difficult thing. As a senator now, if I have a motion or if I have a bill that I wanted to scale through, I go to senators office to office and appeal to them and explain to them that if this thing is brought to the floor, support me, and they will do that. So the whole idea of reordering of election has to do with the thinking, the consciousness, the level of awareness of Nigerian voters, thinking that after the presidential election, everyone will vote for the president, men.
You know, Senator, you're in a unique position in the sense that you have also been a target of ire from some of your colleagues in the Senate. I remember reading an article in a reputable newspaper quoting an unnamed senator. You know how they usually do that. Essentially, after you had kind of lifted the lid on the can about you know, the allowances, the running costs, etc., a senator unnamed said that, look, at the appropriate time we will deal with him. You will see what we will do to him. He was referring to you.
Yes.
I don't know if you had heard about any moves or any plot against you as a result of that. This notion that you were holier than thou is what they were saying. Have you heard of anything like that, a plot against you based on your expression of your opinion?
Well, I simply expressed my opinion to bring an end to the culture of secrecy as far as the allowances of the members of the parliament is concerned. And I was not unaware that there may be consequences. And there were senators who were not happy with me, and even members of House of Reps, and many of them are not happy with me. But it does not mean, even if that led to my suspension, that I will simply go back to Kaduna and bring in thugs to take the maize and get it out. So I said it, and I didn't deny it, and what I did was, to the best of my conscience, what I should do. And if there is any action to be taken against me, I am prepared for it as far as I'm concerned.
How do you react to Nigerians who say that the Senate do not have the stomach for dissent, and they cannot stomach a dissent in view?
Well, as for me, I have been dissenting, and I think nobody should be persecuted for having a voice that is contrary to others. But what is on the ground is the very fact that the only way for the Senate to gain acceptability in the eyes of many people is simply to accept, endorse, embrace, and simply swallow hook, line, and sinker whatever comes from the executive. I think if there is any place in history for the Senate, is the fact that it was never a rubber stamp. It's the one that held the executive to account, and that is what should be. We have reached a point today. Anything you say, anything you do, as long as it does not tally with the president, you simply become anti. And I don't know how expressing your opinion becomes anti. And I believe that senators should have the right to express their opinion, but not to the point of inciting others. Because there's a difference between you say, I am opposed to the sequence of election, and also saying those who are in support of the sequence are against Buhari. If you would say that to a person, he can't move around in Kano, in Sokoto, in Katsina. That is a fact.
Well, we'll take a moment now. I'll ask you just how different that is, to your own statement, unveiling secrecy in the National Assembly, and whether or not that also might constitute an inciting of some sort of Nigerians against the senators. In just a moment, please stay with us. Well, Senator Shehu Sani is still with us in the studio. You made a distinction between what you did and what Senator Omo-Agege did. You say that he was antagonizing other senators and made it impossible for them to walk around. But didn't your own comment on trying to unveil secrecy on how much senators earned do the same thing?
Well, it didn't, because all I did was to tell them that what I'm giving. So if I'm the only person giving that, I don't have any problem with any...
But isn't that what all other senators are given?
Of course, that is what every person is given. So I don't know how that qualifies to an incitement. All that was there is true, and also the National Assembly accepted and admitted that that was a fact. So as far as
I have to ask you, the Kaduna State government has recently come out and said that concerning the issue of the World Bank loan, that indeed they have done everything they need to do, 90% compliance rate, etc., with the World Bank, and that the World Bank has now told them that if they do not get their loan approved at the National Assembly, all the other states that have applied and have been approved for the loan will also not get it. Does that in any way shift the position of your committee on loans, on the Kaduna State matter?
Well, first of all, the World Bank are yet to tell us that, and they have never told us. So maybe they told the Kaduna State government. So if they told the Kaduna State government and not us, so it remains between the Kaduna State government and the World Bank.
But if it gets to you, does that change your position
Let
in any
it
way?
first of all get to us, and then we will now deal with it.
I'm going to ask you quickly. I mean, we've seen reactions this morning. The Nigeria police say they have recovered the mace that was discovered by a patriotic passerby. We've also seen Senator Omo-Agege say, "Look, I had nothing to do with, taking or the stealing of that particular mace, and those are grievous allegations being made against him." He also made reference to the official statement released by the Senate spokesperson. What do you make of what is going to happen? What would happen at the end of the day? What would you require should also happen?
Well, if you look at the whole thing, it's simply a poorly scripted Nollywood movie where you have some thugs invading the National Assembly, taking the mace and simply going away without anybody arresting them. Now, try as an individual to enter into the National Assembly and see the kind of security interrogations and check you face. But it's very clear.
Do you suspect collusion then?
Well, if it is not collusion, then what shall we call it? As far as I'm concerned, they went in and the security simply melted away. We don't have security as far as the National Assembly is concerned. We depend on the police and other secret security agencies that are all controlled by another arm of government. If we have our own security, that could not have happened.
So you're implicating the executive?
Well, as far as I did not implicate the executive, all I said was that they came into the National Assembly freely, took the mace, and at ease they simply went out as if there is nobody.
Do you think then that your relationship, because everyone knows that the relationship between the National Assembly and the executive is strained at best, yes, do you think it's going to affect the investigations that should happen, even though the Deputy Senate President has reported to the Vice President the incidents that transpired yesterday?
Well, what the executive need to understand is the very fact that if this could happen to the Senate, it could also happen to the executive one day. Mm-hmm. And what will be the reaction of Nigerians? If we have a Senate president who people don't like, or he's a sinner, or we have an ex-Senate that is not popular, one day you will have a popular Senate president and a popular Senate where people will certainly have their grievances, go in and do the same thing. And you also have people who have grievances in the country. Here, always protesting outside within the Unity Fountain. What becomes of them too? Breaching protocol, getting into the villa and also doing the same thing. So we should be very careful. What happened was simply an affront on democracy. It was an invasion. It was an attack on democracy. It is treasonable, and it must be treated as such.
Are you confident that any action is going to be taken from what you have seen so far?
Well, for now, the Senate will make further positions on it and make demands on what needs to be done. And that is to forestall such things happening either to this Senate or to the future National Assembly that may be coming.
Well, Senator Shehu Sani, we have to thank you most kindly for coming on Sunrise Daily. He's a member of the All Progressives Congress and also the Chairman Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt. That's Sunrise Daily today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maokbe Ogun Yusuf.
Have a great day, everybody. I am Ajuri Ngelale.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.